So I'm just going to take a moment or two of a pause here to so as not to rush Ernie, who has become our video operator extraordinaire, because our lesson today is going to begin with another video. So I'm going to give him a moment to just switch gears on his end and let you know that this video coming up is one that I imagine many of you have seen. It is one that was created many years ago, 23 years ago, back in 1997, and it was created during the live broadcast of the Daytime Emmy Awards. It continues all these years later to find its way onto social media pages. It's considered to this day to be one of the most memorable acceptance speeches ever offered. And I thought that it was just a wonderful, wonderful way to begin our lesson for today. And so, Ernie, if you're ready to go, just go right ahead and bring that video up if you would.
Ladies and gentlemen, the best neighbor any of us has ever had, Fred Rogers. It is my honor, on behalf of everyone here, to present you with this Lifetime Achievement Award.
Oh, it's a beautiful night in this neighborhood. So many people have helped me to come to this night. Some of you are here, some are far away. Some are even in heaven. All of us have special ones who have loved us into being. Would you just take, along with me, 10 seconds to think of the people who have helped you become who you are? Those who have cared about you and wanted what was best for you in life. 10 seconds of silence. I'll watch the time. Whomever you've been thinking about, how pleased they must be to know the difference you feel they've made. You know, they're the kind of people television does well to offer our world. Special thanks to my family and friends, and to my co-workers in public broadcasting, family communications, and this academy for encouraging me, allowing me all these years to be your neighbor. May God be with you. Thank you very much.
I have seen that video so many times, and I continue to tear up every single time I see it. I think part of the reason for that is having grown up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where Fred Rogers lived and where Mr. Rogers' neighborhood was created and filmed. He was such a beloved icon in that city. His presence went far beyond the television program. But a larger part of the reason is simply the profound message contained in his words. How when we take just 10 seconds of time, they can take us to a place of such heartfelt awareness. Awareness of those special someones who have loved us into being. Those special someones who have only wanted the best for us in life. The someones who may be sitting right next to us right now. Or perhaps They're geographically far away from us right now, or perhaps no longer with us in this life. These are the people that I'm going to refer to today as our champions, cheerleaders, and confidants. That was actually the title to a workshop that I attended last year when I was present at our Great Lakes Unity Annual Regional Conference. We had spent an incredible 4 days together that was a mix of the business matters of the region, along with keynote addresses, presentations, workshops, live music, social events, all of it focused on helping us to form connections with each other. Reverend Charlene Manuel is a longtime Unity minister. She's been the senior minister at Unity Center of Miami for 20 plus years right now. She's also a very respected member of the adjunct faculty at our Unity Urban Ministerial School, located not all that far from us down in Detroit. And on the final morning of our conference, she offered this workshop. And she invited all of us there to never lose sight of the fact that we are never alone as we go about doing what we do. And she asked us to remain cognizant of the people that we let into our lives. Just as Fred Rogers noted, are the people we are letting into our lives, are they those that only want the best for us in life? Are these people who encourage us with love, do all they can to help us be all that we are to be, to do all that we have come here to do? And this isn't to say that no other kind of people can be a part of our lives. It's just saying that people in our lives will have different roles. Some may be more along the lines of acquaintances or more casual friends or professional colleagues and such. And others will be those that we let more deeply into our hearts, more intimately into our lives. And Reverend Charlene provided us with these three ways that the second group of people can show up. And the first was that of a champion. And from her perspective, champions exist both on an inner basis and an outer basis. Our inner champion, well, it's the same for all of us, because that inner champion is the Christ presence in us. It is that divine part of us. And Charlene defined this champion as the one that won't let you quit, ever. This person will not let you quit, or this presence will not let you quit, ever. And I think that our divine essence, that Christ presence, that is the only presence in our lives that can guarantee the use of that word ever. Because it's something that is and always will be within us. It is something that can only see good in us, can only see good for us. But something that it is not is a presence that forces itself upon us or forces us into any kind of particular action. See, this God presence is something that we have to open ourselves to allowing into our lives, allowing into our thoughts, and especially allowing to come forth through our actions. As author and minister Eric Butterworth wrote in his book, Spiritual Economics, he wrote that God can do no more for you than God can do through you. And he went on to say that all the help, and today let's say all the championing of spirit, cannot aid you except as it flows through your consciousness. But when we place ourselves in that flow of spiritual consciousness, through our prayers, through our affirmations, through those times spent in the 10 seconds of Holy Communion, we will find that there is nothing that can impede all that we wish to be, all that we wish to experience, all that we wish to create and to be in this life. To paraphrase Butterworth, you and I are Spirit's enterprise, living enterprise, and Spirit cannot fail. Now, our outer champions, as referenced by Reverend Charlene, are the people in our lives who inspire us. So let's follow Mr. Rogers again. Think for a moment, who has been a source of inspiration in your life? Take 10 seconds, and I'll watch the time. The people who came to mind, these inspirational champions, they are the ones in our lives who have exhibited qualities and traits and life practices that get us excited about doing the same thing in our lives. And not necessarily the very same things, and certainly not trying to do things the exact same way as someone else, but creating the very same result, that of inspiring others to do the same thing in their lives. We can think of people like sports figures or authors and poets, activists and visionaries, family members and personal lines of ancestry, businessmen and women, friends and mentors, members of all the various performing arts, spiritual teachers, our next door neighbors, people who in their own special way express their embodiments of things like passion, commitment and dedication, encouragement, heartfelt relationships, consistency of their chosen life practices, sincere engagement with others. And they did so in ways that not only touched your heart when you witnessed it or it was offered to you very personally, but also inspired you to rise up higher in your own life. These champions, they're the ones who see the gift of inspiring others as primary in their lives. And any personal accolades or accomplishments, awards, or positive notoriety that they receive as a result, that's all secondary. And for many of them would likely even be unnecessary. So now let's look at the cheerleaders in our lives. Now, Reverend Charlene described a cheerleader as a no matter what person. A no matter what person. People in this category are going to be with you and stay with you no matter what. And I remember sitting at the conference when this particular part of her presentation was being offered, and when I heard what she said, I immediately took the word and the way she defined it into sports. In this case, and I wasn't viewing cheerleader or cheerleaders as the official team of cheerleaders in the uniforms that are down on the sidelines or whatnot. In my mind, I was thinking about the fans, the cheerleaders that are up in the stands. And I thought about two different categories of cheerleader fans. You wouldn't see the first category in the stands if the team isn't really any good and winning a whole lot, because they're the fair weather fans. Fair weather fans have to have their team win a lot, be really good, before they'll show up to support them and cheer them on. There are conditions placed upon their cheerleading support. But the other category of fans, they'll be in those stands cheering that team on no matter what. Now, if the team has been losing a lot, granted, we've seen where some of those cheerleader fans show up and put paper bags over their heads, but they're there. They are there. So when you think about this distinction, as you apply it to your own lives, who shows up for you no matter what? No matter what you've done, no matter what kind of mood you're in, no matter how many times you've reached out to them and said, I need you, no matter what other opportunities came along to do something else, be somewhere else after they had already made a commitment to you, who is it that sees such potential and possibility in you, that cares so much about you, your happiness, your success, and has shown you time and time again that you can count on them no matter what. Take another block of 10 seconds, if you will, and just send a silent blessing of gratitude their way. Now, this wasn't in Reverend Charlene's presentation, but I found that I think there's another form of cheerleader, and it can show up through organizations, and in particularly their mottos or their taglines. A few years back, I came upon an organization that's called Be Good to People. Be Good to People, and I would put them in the category of a no matter what cheerleader because of the way the company came into being and how their philosophy shows up in their products and in their social action. Back in 2008, the woman who would become the founder of the Be Good to People company had what is described in their promotional materials as a random unkind encounter with a stranger while she was out running some errands on her lunch hour. Now, her name is Chris Wittenberg, and that unfortunate, unkind encounter led her to just put the words "Be Good to People" on a t-shirt. And one thing led to another, and from there the company and what they call a kindness revolution began. And here's the no matter what part of their cheerleading, for us to be kind. See, Ms. Wittenberg has spoken how she just couldn't make sense of someone having been so unkind to her that day. So unkind. She thought it was so unnecessary and thought that choosing to be kind was as clear and simple as black and white. If you go to the company's website, you'll see that all of their clothing, all of their various forms of merchandise in all of their different product lines is black and white. No other colors are used. Everything is black and white because to them, being good to people is just that simple, no matter what. They cheer us all on towards that simplicity through the wording on their merchandise. And they also have a separate foundation that receives 2% of all of the purchases that are made from the company, and they use that as a way to offer financial support to others, to be a means of cheerleading for others who also want to create a kinder world. And so here's one of my reminders that they sent in a purchase that I made. They throw these little things in, so I've got it on my Sunday service binder. And there's other little things that they've offered as well that I have in different places in my personal space as well. The third and the final category of people that Reverend Charlene offered to us last year is that of confidant. And confidants, like champions, have both an inner and an outer presence in our lives. We're going to start with the outer confidence this time. And this is where she offered a little bit of a heads up. She encouraged us to keep the list of our confidants short. Keep it short. And why? Because these are the folks with whom and to whom we bare our souls. Right? These are the folks that we let into the deepest and most intimate parts of our lives. And we trust that whatever we share with them is not going to be then shared with someone else, at least without first getting our permission to do so. I think it is really important to take time in very intentional and in prayerful discernment before inviting someone into our lives in this way. And I think one of the first things that we really need to do is look at what the relationship is at that time. And one of the most important questions I have been taught and have learned to ask is, are there any boundaries between us that would be best kept in place? And this can often come up in situations where your relationship begins, say, as a boss and an employee, or a therapist and a patient, and so on. You see, sometimes people come into our lives for wonderful reasons other than being a life confidant for us. And we accept them for that wonderful gift that they bring. In the end, I do believe that a confidant is such a sacred gift that we can receive. And as long as we keep spirit active in our lives, as long as we allow it to be a part of our processes, we'll find the certainty that we seek. We'll find the certainty with which we can know that he or she, is truly meant to serve in this very special role for us. I saw a short verse that was originally posted on a Pinterest site, and it had the word confidant across the top of the page. And the verse that was written below it might be one way that can help us find our certainty when we were thinking about placing someone on our short list of confidants. And so underneath that word confidant, the verse said, "When a woman shows you her dark side, there is a certain light in you that she sees, a certain light she doesn't see in anyone else." So what kind of certain light have any of you seen in someone else? That certain light that set them apart from anyone else you knew at that time. Why was it? How was it? What was it, that drew you to them to the extent that you came to trust them as one of your confidants? So here's one last block of 10 seconds to allow those lights to enter into your thoughts. And we just say thank you to all of them for being some of the most precious people coming into the most precious times in our lives. Fred Rogers once said, "To love someone is to strive to accept that person exactly the way he or she is right here and now." And that brings us to one last confidant, our inner confidant, ourselves. Ourselves. If sometimes we're just not ready to reach out to others, to let others in to our lives at this level. But haven't we all had conversations with ourselves at one time or another? I hope you're all saying, "Sure, Eileen, sure we have." Haven't we all talked our way through, questions or challenges or situations or decisions? Sometimes I think that we can be our own best confidant, but it only works if we're willing to be with our own stuff, whatever those situations are, whatever the experiences are, whatever the decisions are that need to be made. And that usually only works when we're able to love ourselves right then and there in whatever now moment it happens to be. And I think doing that brings us full circle back to where we began today, because it brings us back into contact with our highest self. It brings us back to our biggest champion, our truest champion, our loudest of cheerleaders. It brings us back to the Christ. It brings us back to spirit, to our true essence, the one with which we are always as one, the one that will not let us down or let us quit ever, no matter what, the one which is on our shortest list of all. God bless you.